5 of Create Astral. So last time we made a munitions factory, ended up being a lot longer than I thought, so we didn't quite get to this whole section of the quest book like I was planning, but we'll do that in this episode. And we're going to start off by making some not-so-sturdy sheets. We're going to make some fragile sheets. We just stick a bunch of sheets into the grinder. Apparently we have some basalt dust in there. I'm not sure what we even use that for. It's kind of loud, so we're going to go over here. What do we use this for? We can turn it into basalt. Or we can use it to make large end slime crystal buds, which we use for what exactly? To make end slime, which we then use to make bigger ones, which we use to make ender slime crystals. What is this whole thing? What do I use this for? Estrogen pills, ender marimo. I have literally no idea. Ender mush. That sounds great. Yeah, I have no idea. I think we just won't worry about it. Let's stick it in here for the time being. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to make this. That way we're going to make these fragile sheets so they can move on. It'll also give us this job of making a gold casted rocket fin, which we'll have to make a thing out of. Do we have a compressor? I'm actually not sure if we have one of those. We sure do. It's full of copper sheets for some reason. I suppose we could even do that part today as well, but this is the section that we're really going to focus on. We also have to make some coal dust to make it with, we mix it with some iron. I would have assumed that we would have had to do something else for the coal dust, but that's fine. We then make strong dust, which we're going to have to do some iron and some coal. We get a single steel dust out of that, which is kind of terrible. But then I think we should be able to make this launch pad even. We have to so we can leave. And then hopefully we'll get into this cannon section as well. This looks like it's going to be... Oh, interesting. This looks like it's going to be a little bit interesting to do. I'm not totally sure how we're going to do that yet. That is quite straightforward, which is nice. Casting sand is easy enough. It's actually used for dirt, and this thing's easy enough as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We're going to put this together in our thing over there. How are we doing with this? Not very quick, but I think that's okay for now. Yeah, so we'll just wait until that's ready to go. Okay, so I think our fragile sheets are finally done. We'll take these, we'll stick in some coal to get some coal dust. I assume that's what this is making, yeah? Good. So let's go ahead and check off this one. Oh, we don't actually get anything for it, fair enough. Looks like we can't do the rocket fin casting yet anyway. We'd have to do this dash plate, which, you know, honestly, while we're waiting for this, let's just go and get that done, because we might as well. We just need to go get some dash, so I'll be right back. So for the dash plates, I think we stick these, have to be into the compressor. And then we should get some dash sheets. That is hard to say. Say that 5 times fast. Dash sheets getting ready to go as well. So taking out 2 birds with 1 stone. Perfect. Again, we'll have to wait for these things to be done. I'm going to stand over here where it's a little bit less noisy, but that should be fine. So while I was waiting, I made an overclocker upgrade. This should help speed things up. To make these, it's not too bad. I had to make some water coolant cells, which also are not too bad. It's just some tin sheets and some water buckets. And then we can go stick it in here, and hopefully it won't just drain all the power, but hopefully it should go quite a bit faster. That said, our dash sheets are done, so we can claim those. And then if we look at our quest book, we can go ahead and claim this. We get some random reward. Oh, we get more chocolate. we might actually be able to make a thing of chocolate now. That's kind of great. And now, if we wanted to, we could make these rocket fins. We might actually just go ahead and do that. We need to put 16 compressed fragile sheets even into a compressor, which I think is this thing. So let's put 16 of these in here. And we'll just let it do its thing while we wait for our last bit of coal dust. I have a strong suspicion this thing's going to be done before that thing is. But we'll find out in a sec. Yep, sure enough, this is already done. Oh, is this like translucent? That's weird. Oh, that's so strange. How close are we with this? Let's go ahead and do the next thing while we're at it. So to make this rocket fin casting, it looks like we just melt an ingot into here. So let's go ahead and do that. We put our rocket fin into here, and once this is melted up, we just pour it onto here. And that's it. It's still like partially translucent, which is really strange. And now we'll need to make a rocket fin. We'll do that when we go back in the factory. We get some dried kelp as a prize. Exciting. We might actually complete 2 or 3 of these things that we need to make our ship to Mars, which is kind of exciting. That's pretty good. Our coal is finally done, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. And then we can check off the next thing here, or not. But what it does mean is that we can make some strong dust. We're going to need some iron, we're going to need some coal, and we're going to need a blaze burner. I should have all that set up in the main factory, so let's go do that. So we're back at our setup. There's a little bit extra going on here, which we'll get to once we get to the blast-proof cement. I think for this we just chuck in our coal dust, we chuck in our coal ingots, iron ingots even, and let's heat this up. And this should be making us steel dust. Hopefully. Let's check to make sure before we do anything else. There we go, 1 steel dust, but you see it used 6 iron ingots and 4 coal dust, which is kind of ridiculous, but we'll let that sit. The other thing that we need to do is we need to make a rocket fin. To do so, I think we just put it on a press. And we get a sheet of gold, which actually I might as well just put into our precision mechanism machine. Just put it in there, that can't hurt. But now we have a rocket fin, which... oh yeah, this is going to be a bit complex. I think we're going to have to start with the NASA workbench, though, because I think that's what we're making all this stuff for. We're actually going to need 2 of these to build our rocket. So I might go do that while this is making more steel. And then we'll come back in a sec. So I made the second rocket fin, but it seems to have accidentally made molten steel, which is not what we want. I also hear a zombie out there. Can I just bucket this up? We got a bucket of molten steel, which actually I do think we're going to need. I think this guy used to be a friend. Let's go to bed, so we don't have any more of our villager friends turn into zombies. And we have technically done this, but it's still not quite ideal. We are going to need to instead make some blast-resistant cement, which is going to require more steel dust than we have, lime dust, and also some concrete powder, as well as some water. This is what I have this thing for. Let me just check one thing with the recipe for this. Okay, so we are still going to need to mix this, so I'm going to have to figure out how to connect these things up. That's fine. Yeah. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to put some steel dust on here, and we're going to do that. This way, hopefully, it knows that that's all that we want to make. Let's grab some more iron, and then we'll make some more steel dust. In the meantime, I'm going to get this set up so that we can start making the blast-resistant cement. There we go. 6 steel dust now. that might be enough to get us 2 buckets of this, which is fine for now. We are also going to need some lime dust, which I think we have in our crusher. I think I've crushed up some limestone. Maybe not. If that's the case, that's easy enough to get. We should have a whole bunch of limestone in here. That is not the thing that I wanted. Where is my limestone? There it is. This raw tin, I think we can actually crush into potentially silver, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm stuck in the machinery. Well, let's just crush this up. We're going to need that silver eventually. Oh, and I forgot that I actually need to crush up the limestone as well. So, let's crush that up as well. I'm also going to need a bucket of water. Which might mean that I actually need to make another bucket. I might finally be out of buckets. I guess we can put this bucket of shimmer into this bucket of shimmer, and then just recycle a bucket. We're going to need this. We are going to need to get rid of this thing here. We're going to need to put this in here. We're going to put 3 steel dusts in here. And then we need some concrete. Do we have any more concrete? I don't know that we do. However, concrete powder is easy enough to make. We just need to grab some of this. And I'm kind of out of space here, but some of this. And then I think we just stick them together, right? Like so. Like so. Does it have to be like this? How do we make concrete? What does just the normal concrete powder look like? Or does it actually have to have a specific color to it? Okay. It's fine. This is full. It's the same chest. Let's put this in here. Should have some dye in here somewhere. Does it matter what kind of concrete powder? Nope. So let's just make black concrete powder, because that's what I have. This tells you how often I build things out of concrete. That is more than enough. Let's chuck this into here. Hopefully that doesn't do anything. And let's go see if we have some lime dust ready. We absolutely do. And I think we just needed 2 pieces of lime dust. Yep. I might actually... Well, first of all, let's go put this bucket of molten steel in here. That way we have a little bit more space to work with. And then let's take some of this stuff out. Let's put in 1 of these, 3 of these, and 2 of these. And then I believe I just need to get this heated. Let's put the rest of the concrete into here. Let's grab some more coal. And let's heat this up. So, what I'm hoping for is this will just become solid cement. Eventually. Maybe. Is it doing anything? There we go. We got 1 bucket of cement, so we're going to attach this here. This should pump it into here. Because that was a full bucket, it should bucket onto there. And then we get our bucket of blast-resistant cement. Cool. We don't get a reward for that either. But now we just gotta make 16 blast-resistant concrete, which I think we just pour this into a basin. How do we pour this into a basin? Do I have to... I might have to do this. Which is going to require a little bit of juggling. I think I put this here. I think this goes back in here for now. And I think this just goes off to the side for now. And then I think if I just put this into here, it should get pumped back out and hopefully make a blast-resistant cement. Well, it might need a little bit more than that. Plus we need, I think, 16 of this stuff. Yep, looks like it. So we're going to take a quick break and get that done.
One eternity later.
Well, we're done with the blast-proof concrete. That took so long that I went to the moon, had to get a whole bunch more iron. I rearranged this. I added a whole nother floor here. I have all of the like metal stuff, plus apparently some lime dust in here. That took a while. I could have probably sped it up by making this thing go faster, but it's fine. The important thing is that we have our blast-resistant concrete. I actually ended up making twice as much as we need for this, simply because we need to make 2 launch pads. So if we go into our quest log, we've completed this, we get blast protection 3, which is really funny. And then we just need to build these 2 launch pads. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 sturdy sheets, so a total of 18 for both of them. That's fine. That's 9, and then 18. And then we just need to craft these up. I was doing some off-screen stuff while I was letting those things do their thing. So this is in a little bit of a weird order, plus we have a couple of these things on here. But that's fine. Let's put this back in this box. And then we have like a X of sturdy sheets. And then we just have a whole bunch of concrete. And that should, as long as I actually get every spot, put that all together into a single launch pad. Now we're going to have to do this twice, like I said, because we need 2 of these. That is ginormous. And I'm pretty sure if we pick this up, yeah, we hold it over our heads, which is really funny. Very good. And then if we switch off, that just disappears entirely, because of course it does. And then let's make our second one as well. Like so. And then we are getting our second launch pad. And there we go. Cool. So we've completed that quest. We get some sort of random stuff. We get gold sheets. We get 2 of them. Very helpful. How much stuff do I still have in here? Not enough to make a precision mechanism. Let's put these in the rocket box. Put these here. Say here. And then let's look at what we still have to do. We still have to make these 3, and I do want to get these done in this episode, so the next episode can be entirely focused up here. And then we've just got a couple extra things to do. So the first thing we're going to need to do is make a cannon drill. I think I should have some more of this andesite billet alloy stuff somewhere. Keyword is somewhere. There we go. And then I needed, what else do I need for that? Okay, and everything else that I might need should be in here. I've got these piston extension poles. I need 2 pipes, of which, do I really not have any pipes left? Ooh, I don't have any pipes left. I'll have to make some of those. And then we need a machine casing. I think that should be all the stuff that we need. Let me go make some more pipes real quick. Okay, so I've made a bunch of pipes. So I think we did one of these. Machine casing in the middle, piston extension thing in there, and then an iron billet on top, and that gets us our cannon drill. Now what we also need to make, we need to make some casting sand, which is just this. Do that. I'm curious as to what this ponders. We put it in a circle. We put something else in there. And not entirely sure past that. So I guess we'll figure this out. What I do also need to do is I need to make a screw breech cast mold. That's just a log on a saw. Do I have any more saws in here? I don't think I do. Oh wait, no, I do. I have one right there. So let's head to the munitions factory and get that sorted. Alright, so we're back in here. I had to restart the steam engine again, but that's fine. I got it working. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to... Of course, this is facing the wrong way. We need to take this log and somehow turn it into a casting mold. Now, I'm not entirely sure how we do that, because if we do that, it just randomly cuts something. Don't entirely know. That seems to have given us a different type of oak log. I think that might have actually given us... Oh, it's so close. It's a medium casting mold. Which of these things is the one that I actually need? A screw breech casting mold. I really wish that there is a way to specifically do this, but as far as I know, that there's not. Yeah, to my knowledge, there's not a way to do that easily. So I guess we're just going to keep doing this. Very small cannon mold, that's closer. Cannon end cast mold. That's just a log. It's another log. What was that one? A small cast mold. Okay, none of those are the things that we actually need. I'm going to go get some more logs, and then we're going to keep trying this. There we go. Got it. Okay. That wasn't actually too terrible, but it's ridiculous that all of these have the same recipe. I think I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to select it like so. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is we need to make this unbored steel screw breech. Now, I think the way that this works, if I'm looking at this correctly, is we place down our casting sand almost like that. I'm not sure how we end up with 10 of these. Sure. Then I think we just put this in there. And then do we pour the molten steel on top? Ow, ow, ow. Nope, that doesn't seem to be it. Okay. I really hope I don't have to, like, spout it onto there. Because that would be very annoying. Or do I put the steel in first and then put this mold on top? So do I do that? And then that? I do not know. That just seems to have gotten rid of my steel. Give me a sec while I try to figure this out. So this whole next section is me just trying to figure out how to use the Create Cannons mod. It took a while. It took like an hour and a half to do. But I got through it eventually. Basically what I had to do was I had to put the casting mold inside of this 8x8, then put another sand on top of it, which was rather confusing. And then after I do so, then, as we see there, then I pour in the molten steel. But I had to make a whole thing to do that. I couldn't just place it in there. as you're about to see, I think. Maybe not. But I definitely had a few accidents where I burned to death due to molten steel. Wasn't great. But yeah, it was a struggle to figure out. Eventually I came up with this little machine to get the molten steel in there. It just kind of pours down into there. I do think that this could be kind of fun once I properly know how to do this. But it is kind of a pain in the butt. And this casting process where it's slowly hardening and slowly turning into the thing I need it to turn into literally took 3 minutes. I've sped it up 8 times here, but it was so slow. And then came the actual cannon drilling part. So I set up this whole mechanism, which requires power and water, and for things to be rotating at the same speed. And this took another 45 minutes to get properly working. I tried so many different things, and in the end, I'm not totally sure what it is that did it so that it would actually work the way it's supposed to. But yeah, as you can see, I ended up adding a clutch. It supposedly wasn't spinning at the same speed. It definitely is. So I had a clutch up there. I had to fiddle with some of the gear ratios because they weren't working. So theoretically that's at 250 and that's at 512, but for some reason right there it actually starts working. It finally drills the hole. And I'll just let normal me talk over at this point. Well, that took forever. How do I actually remove this now? There we go. Okay. We did the thing. That took forever to figure out. I still don't entirely know what I did to get this thing working. I also have no idea what I'm looking at here. Sure. Okay. That's unhelpful. How do I do this then? Do I literally just right-click it? So I put this back down. This thing... needed what exactly? That's unhelpful. How do I make this? Alright, so as far as I can tell, to do this last part of this, we just stick this in here, and then this in there, and I think that's it. We now have a steel screw breech. I don't think we actually need to do anything with this right now. It just goes at the top of our rocket, which we'll need to do eventually. We're actually very nearly there. These desh tanks are easy enough to build. In fact, I'm not even sure what else we need for this. Desh blocks are fine. I guess we just need to figure out how to make the Astral workbench. That part I don't know. But let's go check our quest book one last time. We don't get any rewards for that. So I think that'll do it for this episode. This has been... I don't know if it's been that long of an episode, but it certainly melted my brain with all this canon stuff. Yeah. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.